So the question I got asked last night, as well as I believe 7:18 this morning, was all around subconscious sabotage. Why can't I seem to move forward? Why am I having challenges? So let's address those questions. We've got two separate ones. Why can't I stay motivated to get my goals? And what do I do if I feel like I don't have the belief to get the goal that I'm going after because I've got a condensed time frame? Those are the two questions we're going to be going over. By the way, if you have a question and you've joined me live, feel free to drop it in the comments, or you can text it to 636-699-7791. And another bonus for joining me live, that if you give me hashtag AHA on one of your insights from today, you'll be placed in a course, or excuse me, placed in a drawing to win one of our courses, our Dreams into Reality courses. Okay, so here's the thing when you say, I'm just not motivated to achieve my goals. And I just can't seem to keep that momentum going. Yes, I do it in a whiny voice because it's the younger part of you that is coming out and going, why can't I go forward? Because that younger part of you was conditioned to avoid pain. That's the reason why you can't seem to keep the motivation to move forward, because you are so motivated. You do not understand the power you're possessing, but the power's going in the wrong direction. You've got the power to actually avoid pain instead of moving into progress. It's what you were conditioned to do because of the core four wounds. So we're going to talk about the core four wounds, and then we're going to talk about the top 5 motivators. Okay, core 4 wounds. First one is certainty. You have been taught to hand your power over to other people, places, and things to be okay. All right, 80% of who you are as an adult was learned by age 8, not based on your magnificence and brilliance, but based on who someone else needed you to be for them to be okay in their life. Not because it was going to give you the autonomy to discover who you really were. All right, so we've got the subconscious sabotage based on certainty. You are handing your power over to other people, places, and things. That's the first wound. The second one is variety. And variety shows up one of 2 ways. It either shows up as freedom of choices, or it shows up as drama, crisis, chaos, confusion. You felt like your choice was taken away at some point. So this little black cloud of nothing ever works right seems to follow you wherever you go, because your subconscious mind has to have an energy source to stay turned on. And that energy source is emotion. Subconscious cannot choose, though, if it's functional or dysfunctional. It just goes off of the programming that you received. And if the programming that you received was, you don't have a choice on how you're going to experience this, and that things are always going to be up in the air because you have to rely on other people, places, and things to be okay, and we know that that's going to let you down at some point, guess what? Yeah, we have got a recipe already, just after going over 2 of these wounds, the recipe that is going to spell disaster in you being able to move forward into progress. Okay, the third wound is worthiness. And it is at this level that you discover you can have a significant impact in the world by relating to another person and showing them how to move through in a way that brings them out at their best, because you are moving through it yourself. This is the most often experienced level for hypnotists and coaches and therapists, mentors. Okay, on this level, though, you didn't experience the significance on how to move through what you were going through. You experienced, how do I get away from this? It's painful. So you learn to sacrifice yourself. You learn that, well, maybe if I turn into a people pleaser, things will be okay for others, and then I'll get the leftover scraps. And because I'm a people pleaser, there's always going to be a lot of high drama around it, and other people are going to let me down because they're only going to use me for what they can get out. Okay. Then the final wound is validation. You want to be loved, but you've learned to accept holding yourself back so others don't feel bad. And maybe that way they'll take you in and give you what you never received when you were growing up. Okay, you have this wound. We all do. It's called the human condition. And discovering how to use this wound to turn it into our wealth. And that's their 4-part system. The 4 R's, just like reading, writing, arithmetic, and recess. It's the 4 R's that I use in hypnosis: reveal, release, relearn, rejoice. So there's a 4-part process. Reveal the part of you that is holding that wound, release it from having to show up in the world that way, relearn by bringing out the part of you that does know how to move forward into progress, bringing that out, and rejoice because all parts of you are pulling together now for you to move into progress instead of consistently and constantly avoiding pain. Okay, so that's what sets you off. As far as when you set a goal, you will set a goal that will be in alignment with one of those, but it's triggering the negative part of you that wants to avoid pain, that learned that you'll never get what it is that you want. It's triggering that part of you to show up instead of the progress part of your personality. So now let's move into the 5 motivators. So status. I always like to use the fingers, and status is going to be the thumb. Are you up or are you down? First in how others perceive you, and then how you perceive yourself. So we already know that you've set a goal to go along with one of those areas that's wound to wealth, but now status is going to show up in a dysfunctional way and say, yeah, but we can only do it when we're low, when we're down. Other people are above us. They're going to have to give us a handout instead of a hand up. And that is what will motivate you to achieve that goal. Can you see why we're already having now some major issues? Because you will find ways to reach the goal that's going to wind up being dysfunctional in a way that is always going to put you down beneath others. And then the next one, the next motivator to achieve your goals is going to be the index finger. And this is going to be control. Control shows up discipline and order. But again, because you've been wounded and that wound hasn't been resolved, you set the goal, and you're already finding ways that this goal is going to be painful. So you're going to use these motivators to go the opposite direction of the goal. So discipline. Yeah, you're going to be disciplined on self-sabotage. People say all the time, I have no discipline. And I'm like, you have no idea how much you do, because you are disciplined to sabotage the goal when you start for it. That's phenomenal. We just have to reprogram and recondition, relearn how to go into progress instead of avoiding pain. So you are already disciplined. And as far as the order that you're going to need, the process and systems, you've already got that also. What does that mean? That means that you have processes and systems in place that lead to sabotage. You've already got the neural pathways set up. It's just that they're leading you away instead of leading you towards. So saying, okay, well, what kind of system do I have? Oh, I'm being triggered. Let me give you an example. Do you think that somebody who uses food, tobacco, caffeine, drugs, in order to have themselves feel better, do you think those triggers are ever going to go away? No. Whatever triggered the substance abuse will always be there. We just have to give new meaning to what that trigger means. what we're going to do when we experience it, how we're going to follow through, because you're following through now. You've got a process and a system. It's just that that process and system is pain avoidance instead of progress producing. Okay. So now we're on to our third motivator, which is going to be autonomy, the middle finger. You know, when you're experiencing autonomy, someone you feel like has taken away your self-direction, and what do? You give them that finger. Okay. Autonomy is experienced. I'll give you one of the ways. There's actually two, but one of the ways that it's experienced is through beauty. Being able to recognize the brilliance and magnificence around you. But it's actually one step higher than that. It's recognizing your own brilliance and magnificence, who you really are. Have you heard the old adage, beatings will continue until morale improves? I actually worked at a company like that for many years. You cannot move yourself into your dreams turned into reality by continuing to find fault, all the ways that you're broken, all the ways that you're flawed. No, everything that you need to move into progress is already present. It's just that it's been perverted down to pain, instead of bringing you out at who you really are. Okay, so what do we need to do for that? That's when I talked about that 4-part process: reveal, release, relearn, rejoice. That's when we bring all the parts of your identity together. The certainty that if it is to be, it is up to me. The variety that I have choices on how I want to experience this goal. There are a lot of different paths to get me there. Significance. I'm not just doing it for myself, but I'm doing it because there's someone else that is going to benefit from me achieving this. And the validation. I'm going to give myself the love that I never experienced, that led to the pain and me settling for less than what life is willing to give me. Okay, so that's all around autonomy. You will stay motivated through bringing yourself out at your very best when you notice your own unique brilliance. You're already wired for it, that you're going to notice all the ways that you're flawed. Now we just have to give those triggers new meaning. Last one, number 4, relationships, the ring finger. So relationships come about as far as a motivator. Who's going to benefit? And you need to ask yourself, who's going to benefit first? Because you've been wired, you are on the bottom of the list. In fact, you will negotiate in the privacy of your own mind on the behalf of others. They don't even realize you're doing it, on how they can win through your actions and you'll lose. What an exhausting way to live. I know. I did it till I was about 33. Everybody else came out on top. Remember status? Yeah. I was going to make sure I was down and they were up, because that I was programmed to do. Then we had control. I was going to be very disciplined at giving myself away. The autonomy, I was going to find all the ways that I was flawed. And relationships, everybody would come out better than I would. You know what happens when you're a giver like that? You don't attract other givers. You attract nothing but takers. Nothing but people who want to use you. Unless you are raising children, and only in that environment, the only people that should be coming out on top, number 1, is you first. Because you cannot give away what you do not possess. And if you're not coming out on top, not by taking advantage of others, but by revealing who you really are and then saying, hey, come along with me. Let's do this journey together. If you are not doing that, and if you are making yourself less than, you're not going to have the resources nor the resourcefulness to get to that goal that you've set, that dream you want to turn into reality. So you have to be number 1, unless you're raising children and they need to get to the age of being self-sufficient. Because if you put yourself your needs above theirs consistently, guess what? That's when they learn that they need to pervert their personality to what you need, because you're martyring yourself and saying, oh, look at how I have to sacrifice for you. So this is what you need to do in turn, because there's always a price to be paid. Always. You're either going to pay the price of bringing yourself out at your magnificence, or you're going to pay the price of putting yourself in a lower position, and then without even realizing it, trying to manipulate others to get what it is that you need when you're in that lower position. All right. And then the very last one, as far as motivators to get to your goal, the pinky finger. Think about when you're little kids, pinky swear me, pinky swear that you'll always be there for me. This is what you can trust in life. This is justice. This is fairness. This is the one that is going to mess you up if you're running around trying to figure out how to make life fair, because it's not. There will be times when you're down and it seems like the universe will continue to pile on to you. So the idea isn't that you go, oh, this isn't fair. What do I need to do? The idea is that you're right. It's not fair. And I need to get into progress as soon as possible. And I am going to continue to self-advocate until I get there, until I find others that are going to assist me to get there. And then the world is going to be a better place, because we've all found what is known as grit. We've all found the ability to continue taking actions that are going to be for our betterment every single day. The goal does not change. The goal does not end. You continue with it till you get there. And I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to fail more often than you achieve. It's known as Pareto's principle. I'm not going to go into how that was discovered, but you can look it up on your own. But what it basically says, you may have heard of it before, is the 80-20 rule. And it says 80% of the time you are going to be off track. 80% of the time what you're doing is not going to work long term. It's not sustainable. 20% though, 20% is going to rock it. That means 2 out of 10, 1 out of 5. Guess what? Most people quit at, I believe the last statistics I looked at was 1.8 things to get to their goal. You haven't even used the law of averages. Now, everything you do that does not work, you can learn from it. You can discover and say, okay, what about this triggered me to move back into pain instead of progress? And then how can I use that to begin to move forward? So there's your 5 motivators. They will motivate you to either move away from anything that is risk-taking, move away from anything that is unsafe, move away from anything that could continue to cause you hurt. And the very thing you're avoiding is the very thing that's just going to continue to lead to more hurt. Instead, we need to use those motivators to move you forward. By the way, I got something really exciting I'm going to share with you in just a moment. But we've got another piece to this. So at 7:18 this morning, I received a text that said, I'm at a tricky place with my dream. I do not believe that I can do it because I need to achieve it by the end of the month. And it's the 28th. What should I do to send my subconscious the message of continued growth when I don't think making the goal this month is feasible? Excellent question. The subconscious is not the part that is disbelieving right now. It's the conscious mind. The subconscious runs our habits and patterns of either failure or success. And the subconscious says, are you taking enough action to give me evidence that we should have this goal? If we were to be placed in a court of law, could we be convicted that we have convictions of success? Are we saying, okay, yeah, we've only got a few days left and I'm pulling out all the stops to make it happen? The subconscious looks for implementation. It looks for action to upgrade a belief. So right now, it's not the conscious mind that's doubting. Or excuse me, it's not the subconscious mind that's doubting, it's the conscious. Let the conscious doubt all at once. We want the subconscious because it's eminently more powerful because it runs all your habits and patterns. And success or failure is simply a habit and pattern. Okay, so what do we need to do to get these motivators on your side? And how can I give you a springboard to make it easier to move into success of revealing your magnificence and brilliance? I have a course for you called Summer of Success, and it goes over the 5 motivators, the positive emotions that need to be triggered for each of them. So you can begin putting together your plan of, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do to be able to move forward faster, quicker, and easier. It is a blueprint for you to turn on your motivation to move you into progress. And I want to give you a 40% savings on this, but it's only good through Sunday. So this is what you do. You go to drewdawnferguson.com/SOS. Stands for Summer of Success. So drewdawnferguson.com/SOS. And there you're going to see a button that where you can get immediate access to your course. There's a success manual. There's 5 audio downloads that also include 2 hypnosis sessions to use the pain of your past as your pedestal for your next level of success. When you click on that button, you'll see a place where it says coupon code. Put in SOS40, SOS40, and then click apply, and you will save 40% off of this course. It is only good through Sunday. Then it's going to be the investment price that you see there if I do not decide to maybe raise it. You can do this. I believe in you. But for you to be able to believe in yourself, you're going to have to start using your motivation to move you forward into progress, or you will continue in pain avoidance. And you're never going to have the life that you should be designing, that you deserve to live, when you're continuing to avoid the pain that someone else handed you. Thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to hearing and seeing you in Summer of Success.